Imagine a world on the edge of total destruction, where gods play puppet master over men, and the fate of entire civilizations hinge on a single fateful decision. The Trojan War, a tale of love, betrayal, and revenge. But is it all just myth? What if the truth behind this war isn't as heroic as history suggests? Buckle up, because you're about to discover the real story behind the Trojan War. It all begins with a beauty contest. Yes, you heard that right. A beauty contest that started a war that changed the course of history. Sounds like a soap opera, right? But trust me, it gets crazier. The Trojan prince Paris is asked to judge who is the fairest of the goddesses: Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. Each goddess offers him a bribe, but Paris, blinded by his desire, picks Aphrodite, who promises him the love of the most beautiful mortal woman on earth, Helen of Sparta. The problem? Helen was already married to the mighty King Menelaus. And now Paris has just made a decision that will ignite one of the greatest wars the world has ever known. Paris runs off with Helen, and Menelaus, enraged, calls on the heroes of Greece to wage war against Troy and reclaim his wife. A simple betrayal, right? But here's the kicker. This wasn't just a war over a woman. It was about pride, power, and divine manipulation. The gods themselves are playing a dangerous game, setting the stage for a conflict that will involve some of the greatest warriors in history. The war lasts a staggering 10 years. A decade of bloodshed, alliances, and broken oaths. Achilles, the greatest of the Greek warriors, nearly single-handedly turns the tide. But his ego and anger, his fatal flaw, bring him to the brink of destroying his own army. One minute he's unstoppable, the next he's sulking in his tent, refusing to fight because of a personal insult. Talk about high stakes, but it doesn't stop there. You think the heroes are fighting for glory? Think again. The warriors' motivations are driven by much more than honor. Some are fighting for revenge, others for personal ambition, and every hero on both sides has a dark secret. While Achilles is sulking, Hector, Troy's noble defender, rises to the occasion, fighting for his family, his city, and his country. In the blink of an eye, Hector slays the Greek hero Patroclus, a moment that will set Achilles on a deadly warpath with devastating consequences. Achilles eventually kills Hector in single combat, dragging his body around Troy in a savage act of revenge. But what does this war really prove? Is it about honor or something darker? And just when you think it can't get worse, the Greeks pull off the greatest trick in military history, the Trojan Horse. After 10 long years of siege, they've realized that brute force alone isn't going to break Troy's defenses, so they build a giant wooden horse, a gift, they say, to honor the gods, and hide their soldiers inside. The Trojans, believing they've won, bring the horse into the city, holding a massive celebration. But at night, the Greeks emerge from the horse, open the gates, and let in the rest of their army. The city of Troy falls in a single night of fire, blood, and betrayal. Imagine this, a decade of war. And in the end, it was a gift of wood that brought down the walls. It's a story of intelligence, manipulation, and desperation. But is there more to the fall of Troy than we realize? Was it truly the Greeks' cunning that led to their victory? Or was there something darker at play? Historians have debated whether the Trojan War ever happened at all. Some believe it's all a myth. Others claim there might be more truth in the story than we think. Was Troy really destroyed by a single clever trick? Or did the gods, who were pulling strings all along, have the final say? And what happens when you realize that every single decision made in this war could have been an act of fate? What if I told you the Trojan War wasn't just about revenge or even pride? What if it was about something far bigger, something that still impacts us today? The real story of the Trojan War is not just one of gods, kings, and warriors. It's about the choices we make. The Greeks and Trojans were motivated by their own personal desires and ambitions, and just like them, we face our own battles in the modern world. What if the Trojan War was a lesson in the consequences of unchecked pride, or the dangers of putting your trust in the wrong people, or the cost of believing that the end justifies the means? The real takeaway here is that we can learn from the past. Every decision you make, every alliance you form, every gift that seems too good to be true, it all matters. The Trojan horse wasn't just a trick of war. It's a symbol of what can happen when you let your emotions, your ego, or your ambition cloud your judgment. Because just like Troy, your city, your life could fall if you don't learn to recognize the signs. But there's one final twist in the story that might just change everything you thought you knew about victory. Stay tuned, because the truth behind the Trojan War, it's not what you think.